kind of a memorial service if they're going to have that for the baby. Some people just want to brush it off and baby died and it's not a big deal and we'll just have a little graveside service for our family and that's fine. Some want everybody to know and they really want everyone to grieve this child with them. So help plan that. Make sure that they're getting what they want. If they need a new outfit to put that baby in, make sure they get that. The things to remind a grieving parent is you are still a mother. You are still a father. Since the conception of that baby, your bond with that baby will never be broken. Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. A lot of healing. Again, support groups. Depending upon how many losses the mother has had, again, we can multiply how many layers of grief that they will be carrying in their heart, and that may take time to be able to break through it. Again, there's support groups, but it is a very, very traumatic event. It can be very hard on a marriage. Dad could say, "What did you do? Did you eat the wrong thing to make our baby die? Did you fall? What did you do? What happened?" Sometimes there's no answers. So communicating between the parents, trying to help make sure that that's happening is also important. Parental grieving is really intense and complicated, and it is very, very long-lasting. It doesn't matter if the child is 2 minutes old, 2 hours old, 2 weeks old, or 22 years old. Parental grief is tough, tough. And everyone grieves differently and at different stages. So mom may be at this stage of denial that it's even happened, and dad may be at this stage. Mom may be saying, "Why aren't you understanding where I am?" Dad's saying, "Well, why aren't you understanding where I am?" And it can create a relationship that they're always butting heads. Help facilitate that. Be available to help them understand the different levels of grief. The process of recovery takes time. A lot of time. For the couple to learn how to relate again to their friends without their child, their friends may all have babies, and you don't have your baby anymore. What's your friendships going to be like? They'll be tough. They will be. You want to remember and remind the parents that just because your baby is not present, your baby will never be forgotten. Another thing that parents often forget is the postpartum process that a woman's body will go through. Doesn't matter how far along she is. She has probably gained a tummy. That doesn't just go away once that baby's gone. There's extra blood. There's extra everything. After the birth, milk comes in. How does she want to handle that? There's a couple of different ways. She can pump and donate her breast milk. We have a breast milk bank here in town. There are always newborn babies who need breast milk. For some reason, their moms can't nurse them, and so they're looking for volunteers who would be willing to pump for them. But that has to be a mother's choice. But she may not know that that opportunity is even out there. So her body will be changing. Her hormones up and down, up and down. adjusting to not being pregnant. Oftentimes, there's postpartum depression that comes along. There can also be post-traumatic syndrome that a woman can experience, along with anxiety and a lot of other mood disorders. Being aware of those things. So mom delivers a baby, whether it's dead or it's going to die. What are some practical things that you can do for that couple? One, helping with the decision of if she's going to pump milk. If she is, buy her bags. And the hospital can supply a breast pump, but when she gets home, she may need one. Borrow one, buy one, whatever, she will need that. When she gets home, she's going to need a box of maxi pads. She's going to be bleeding. Bring that to her. She probably hasn't thought of that. You can always bring lavender, some kind of essential oils, bath soaking crystals, something that mom can do for herself. Maybe a candle. Something that will make her feel special. I mentioned earlier about a journal that with pretty pins or stickers or something that is always fun for them to get. Another pregnancy loss that isn't always talked about are rainbow babies. Rainbow babies are babies that are born after there's been 1 loss or 10 losses. You know, we've heard the song, "Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Way Up High. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true." A rainbow baby is a child who is born after the storm being losses. It can be difficult for parents who have perhaps lost 2 children through miscarriage, let's say, and they already have 3 children. And someone comes up, "Hi, how many kids do you have?" What do you say? Do you say, "I have 3 kids"? Do you say, "I have 5 kids"? Do you say, "I have 3 kids and 2 are in heaven"? So mom and dad trying to find an identity is always difficult after a pregnancy loss. Mom can't help but feel guilty. Can I do this again? Will I have another rainbow baby? She doesn't know. Then she gets pregnant with the rainbow baby, but she's scared. She's worried. Will I lose this baby? Even when the doctors consider it past the safe point, there will be worry. Trust and anxiety between a couple, very high, very strong. It's important for a woman who is expecting her rainbow baby to be able to trust her body and feel like this pregnancy is going to be okay and that she's not a failure for the lost pregnancies that she has had. And that fear and anxiety is really okay for them to feel. I want to show you a picture. Here's 5 babies. These are 5 of my rainbow babies that I've been able to be a part of. The entire pregnancy, moms and dads were scared. The labor, they were scared. But look what they've had. I think this is kind of a neat picture. You guys can't see it very well, and I'm sorry. But it's a picture of 7 women who are all in different colored dresses expecting their rainbow babies. And their exposed belly is shown. And then the next picture down here is shown holding their rainbow babies in the same color that they took their picture with the first time. Very sweet idea. Very sweet. So rainbow babies do happen. I want to give you a few facts about pregnancy after a loss. In the United States, 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a miscarriage. One in 60 end in a stillbirth. And those figures don't include infant deaths when something is medically wrong with the child or they die from SIDS or something like that. But 1 in 4 pregnancies. Think about that. How many women that sit in church every Sunday does that affect? They may not have even known that they were pregnant. They may have known and told everybody in the church that they're pregnant. And then they miscarry. 50 to 80% of women who have a loss will become pregnant within 12 to 18 months after a loss. Postpartum anxiety and depression is very high with mothers and with fathers. Dads are also affected by the anxiety and depression. Different cultures deal with pregnancy loss in different ways. In the Chinese culture, it's important for a family to have a son. A son brings honor to the family. So there is a great sadness when the only son dies early. Lots and lots of sadness and shame. In the Philippines, religion or one's faith plays an important role on how they cope and how they deal with death. Upon death, a family member stays with that dead body until they leave the hospital and until they are buried. If it goes to a mortuary, that family member or person goes with them. When they're preparing the body for burial, they want to make sure that it's done properly. No jewelry is ever to be worn, and no shoes. And the family usually holds a wake for 3 to 5 days. In West Africa, there are 3 groups of people, and they are Muslim, Catholics, and atheists. And so many times when someone dies, the cause will be attributed to a curse that has been placed upon that person. So if a baby dies, somebody placed a curse upon mom's baby when she was pregnant. And generally the older women in their area is responsible for the bathing and the dressing of the person for burial. In Nigeria, when a baby dies, they throw the baby into the bushes. They're afraid if they bury it in the ground that it might offend the shrines of fertility. Hindu bury their deceased babies so that they can return to an earthly life. Here in the United States, pregnancy loss is shaped by both religion and political and family traditions. Traditions Unfortunately today, traditions aren't always being passed down for generations. So there may not be a tradition of how to prepare for a funeral or how to prepare for a burial. So depending upon the family history, what one parent may want to do because they had family tradition, the other family member may feel that that's very hurtful. So trying to help them understand their tradition and through the generations is important. Grief is the inward response to loss. And mourning is the outward demonstration of grief. So, what do? We have a family who's lost a baby. Be present. Be available. Pray. Tell them, I don't know what happened. I'd love to hear your story. If you want to share your story, tell me. They will always be blessed with meals. They will always be blessed with a restaurant gift card, some kind of an honor gift maybe to honor that baby. Sometimes if they're brought a teddy bear to the hospital, they won't leave the hospital with empty arms. If they're siblings, do they need childcare help? Do they need help with practical household tasks? You come to the house, dishes are piled up, laundry is piled up. Without question, jump in and do it. I remember when my husband had neck surgery many, many years ago. And we had a group of guys that came over, mowed our lawn because he couldn't go out and do it. What a blessing that was. So there's always practical things that parents don't think of that need to be done. One of my favorite verses is 2 Corinthians 1, 3, and 4. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort those who are in trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. And the last thing that I can say that is important to share is prayer. There is never enough prayer that you can give someone. Does anybody have any questions or things they'd like to say or comment? Yes.
My first care receiver, her son and daughter-in-law, they lost their baby, and the angel babies came in and made a huge difference in the grieving process. The grandparents, both sets, got to hold the baby. The mother, the father, they did all that we talked about with the print, the pictures, and had a name in and all that kind of stuff. It made a huge difference.
It does. And Angel Babies is a wonderful organization. They don't have a lot of volunteers who will go out and do that.
That'd be hard.
It is very hard.
You had mentioned you were going through the different type of pregnancy losses. One of them you said that by law they have to do a birth certificate and death certificate. Was that a term stillbirth at that age, or at what point do you?
After 20 weeks.
After 20 weeks.
So it might be 20 weeks and 2 days, 20 weeks and 1 day. Yes?
So does that mean after 20 weeks they recognize that it's a baby?
Yes.
What about the previous 20 weeks?
Well, the question is, how does the hospital recognize a baby before 20 weeks? Unfortunately, they don't recognize it by anything except a miscarriage. They do not recognize it as a baby. After 20 weeks, again, it is recognized as a baby. Generally, by 20 weeks, you know you're having a baby, and you don't generally do that at home by yourself.
So state laws controlling that then?
Yes, state laws control too much.
What
And Kathy, just to clarify that question, because it's a purpose of census, that